Hey everyone, it's TJ Hunt, and today I'm going to talk to you about the meaning of life because this is something that we as human beings have been searching for since the beginning of the human race. You know, that's what it is to be self aware, is to wonder why we're here and to wonder where our consciousness comes from. And so, you know, every school of thought, whether it be scientific or spiritual or anything else, are for the purpose of one of two things. The first is to figure out the meaning of life, and the second is to improve the quality of life. And we can bridge the gap between those two by realizing that the purpose of life is to be happy. Now, let's examine that statement for a second. Why do you do anything that you do? There is always an underlying reason, and I can tell you very simply what that reason is. It's because you believe it will make you happy. Now, this is not a selfish thing. People who say that, selfless people don't exist and that everything we do is for what we get in return. Like, they say you do a selfless thing, but then you do it for the purpose of the feeling that you get. Well, that's true, but the idea of it, selfless people not existing and that we're all just looking out for number one, that's an ego construct. That comes from our belief in our separateness, in that us being separate from one another. But we have to realize that we're all one, and that to have the desire to be happy is to have the desire for everyone to be happy. And anyone who's experienced true happiness, not illusory happiness, mind you, anyone who's experienced true happiness, they want to share that feeling with the world. And it doesn't come from a place of selfishness. It doesn't come from a place of I want to be happy. It comes from a place of I want everyone to be happy. So, to bridge the gap between the meaning of life and improving the quality of life, you have to begin to do things that make you happy, regardless of what anyone else thinks. So the world wants you to believe that you need nice cars and jewelry and all these things, and of course the luxuries and the finer things of life make it easier to be happy, but you don't need any of them to be happy. So you just have to realize that what's really going to make you happy is figuring this stuff out for yourself, for one, and pursuing your passion in life. Because without a reason for being alive, then this is all going to seem like it's just pointless. And that's why so many people think that, everything's just random and that there's no real meaning to anything. Because what makes you really happy is ingrained in your DNA. You know when you're doing something that you don't like. And it's called your emotions. You know when you're experiencing something that isn't making you happy. So based on that, you just have to learn to listen to your emotions and not anybody else. Trust yourself, okay? I'm not saying you can't trust anybody else, but if you don't trust yourself, you can't trust anyone else. It's just the same thing. Like if you don't love yourself, it's impossible to love another person because you've never felt real love unless you've loved yourself. Because when you're in a romantic relationship, or the relationship that you have with your kids or with your siblings or your parents, unless you love yourself, none of that really improves anything. None of it really is love. And a lot of people say you've never felt real love unless you've had a child. And I personally believe, even though I've never had a child, I personally believe that when you have a child, then you experience real love. Because in the birthing of a child, for a mother, obviously, but for a father, he was part of the conception, and as long as he stayed around, then he probably experienced this at the birth. It's your progeny that you're in love with because it came from you. So is that selfish? Well, if you're asking that question, you're operating from an ego construct. Because we're all one, so if you don't love yourself, then you don't understand what it means to love another human being. And yeah, that's it for today, everybody. The meaning of life is to be happy. Take care.